Hello, writers, and welcome back to Spooky Writes, your channel all about writing. I'm your host who is secretly a ghost, Kamal Onor. Now today is going to be a very special Halloween episode, so happy Halloween to everyone. I'm recording this a few days before Halloween because I am in fact going to be taking a trip over. I'm going to be taking a trip for Halloween, so I'll probably post some pictures of my travels from that. But today I want to be diving into the story The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. Now, this was a poll that I put out to my subscribers on the YouTube channel. I posed the question of what you guys would want to see for a special Halloween episode, and you guys came up with wanting me to critique a piece of writing. So today we're going to be talking about the short story The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. So I'm just going to read through it, and I'll stop every now and then and give some insight as we go along. It's not a very long story, so let's head into the storm.
It's the raven's call, the werewolf's howl, the vampire's bite. You search through the woods for safety, but all you find is...
Okay, It's true. It's true. Yes, I have been ill, very ill. But why do you say that I have lost control of my mind? Why do you say that I am mad? Can you not see that I have full control of my mind? Is it not clear that I am not mad? Indeed, the illness only made my mind, my feelings, my senses stronger, more powerful. My sense of hearing especially became more powerful. I could hear sounds I had never heard before. I heard sounds from heaven, and I heard sounds from hell. So that's our opening paragraph. And so immediately in this opening paragraph, we're given a narrator who is obviously an unreliable narrator. Obviously, his sanity is put into question by him saying that he has been ill, talking about questioning his own sanity, questioning whether he is clear of his mind. And we also get some foreshadowing about what he'll hear because, as it mentions, I heard sounds from heaven and I heard sounds from hell. He also mentions that his hearing was much more stronger since his illness. Now, in the story, it never goes into detail about what his illness is, but let's continue on. Listen, listen, and I will tell you how it happened. You will hear how healthy my mind is. It is impossible to say how the first idea entered my head. There was no reason for what I did. I did not hate the old man. I even loved him. He had never hurt me. I did not want his money. I think it was his eye that was like an eye of a vulture, the eye of one of those terrible birds that watch and wait while an animal dies and then fall upon the dead body and pull it to pieces to eat it. When the old man looked at me with his vulture eye, a cold feeling went up and down my spine. A cold feeling went up and down my back. Even my blood became cold. And so I finally decided I had to kill the old man and close that eye forever. So here we immediately, in just this opening part of the story, we immediately have a sense of our protagonist character, who is the narrator. And then we have a motive. We have the question is going. There's a big question in the story, and that is what's going on with this old man. What is it about his eye, and what is going to happen? So there's already an immediate sense of tension. And short stories, you need to be very concise in your writing of short stories. And this is an excellent example of showing how you need to immediately have a sense of tension throughout the story. Why you need to immediately hook your reader and pull the reader into a question of what is going to happen, and there needs to be concern, there needs to be an edge of danger to it, and already we're seeing that edge of danger of what's going to happen to this old man. How is this protagonist character reliable? And putting the question of the narrator into putting the credibility of the narrator into question is brilliant, and that's the whole story hinges on the credibility of the protagonist character, because again, It's an unreliable narrator, and this is a perfect example of a story that uses an unreliable narrator to the best that you can possibly do. So I finally decided I had to kill the old man and close that eye forever. So you think that I am mad? A madman cannot plan. But you should have seen me. During all of that week, I was as friendly to the old man as I could be, and warm and loving. Every night, about 12 o'clock, I slowly opened his door. And when the door was opened wide enough, I put my hand in, and then my head. In my hand, I held a light covered over with a cloth so that no light showed, and I stood there quietly. Then carefully, I lifted the cloth just a little so that a single thin, small light fell across that eye. For 7 nights I did this, 7 long nights, every night at midnight. Always the eye was closed, and so it was impossible for me to do the work. For it was not the old man I felt I had to kill, it was the eye, this evil eye. And every morning I went to his room, and with a warm, friendly voice I asked him how he had slept. He could not guess that every night, just at 12, I looked in at him as he slept. The 8th night, I was more than usually careful as I opened the door. The hands of a clock moved more quickly than did my hand. Never before had I felt so strongly about my own power. I was now sure of success. The old man was lying there, not dreaming that I was at his door. Suddenly, he moved in his bed. You may think I became afraid, but no. The darkness in his room was thick and black. I knew he could not see the opening of the door. I continued to push the door slowly, softly. I put in my hand with the covered light. Suddenly, the old man sat straight up in bed and cried, "Who's there?" I stood quite still. For a whole hour I did not move, nor did I hear him again lie down in his bed. He just sat there, listening. Then I heard a sound, a low cry of fear which escaped from the old man. Now I knew that he was sitting up in his bed, filled with fear. I knew that he knew that I was there. He did not see me there. He could not hear me there. He felt me there. Now he knew that death was standing there. Slowly, little by little, I lifted the cloth until a small light escaped from under it to fall upon that vulture eye. It was wide open, and my anger increased as it looked straight at me. I could not see the old man's face, only that eye, that hard blue eye, and the blood in my body became like ice. Have I not told you that my hearing had become unusually strong? Had I not told you that my hearing had become unusually strong? Now I could hear a quick, low, soft sound, like the sound of a clock heard through a wall. It was the beating of the old man's heart. I tried to stand quietly, but the sound grew stronger. The old man's fear must have been great indeed. And as the sound grew louder, my anger became greater and more painful. But it was more than anger. In the quiet night, in the dark silence of the bedroom, my anger became fear. For the heart was beating so loudly that I was sure someone must hear. The time had come. I rushed into the room, crying, "Die! Die!" The old man gave a loud cry of fear as I fell upon him and held the bed covers tightly over his head. Still, his heart was beating, but I smiled as I felt that success was near. For many minutes, that heart continued to beat, but at last the beating stopped. The old man was dead. I took away the bed covers and held my ear over his heart. There was no sound. Yes, he was dead, dead as a stone. His eye would trouble me no more. So think about how in that last paragraph, the scene of the narrator killing the old man, it's very meticulous. Each one is step by step. This is also indicative of the narrator and how much planning and how careful he's been with his act of killing this old man. And just throughout the story, every time his own sanity continues to be put into question. His eye would trouble me no more. So, I am mad, you say? You should have seen how careful I was to put the body where no one would find it. First, I cut off the head, then the arms and the legs. I was careful not to let a single drop of blood fall on the floor. I pulled up 3 of the boards that formed the floor and put the pieces of the body there. Then I put the boards down again, carefully, so carefully that no human eye could see that they had been moved. As I finished this work, I heard that someone was at the door. It was now 4 o'clock in the morning, but still dark. I had no fear, however, as I went down to open the door. 3 men were at the door, 3 officers of the police. One of the neighbors had heard the old man's cry and had called the police. These 3 had come to ask questions and to search the house. I asked the police to come in. The cry, I said, it was my own, in a dream. The old man, I said, was away. He had gone to visit a friend in the country. I took them through the whole house, telling them to search it all, to search well. I led them finally into the old man's bedroom. As if playing a game with them, I asked them to sit down and talk for a while. My easy, quiet manner made the policemen believe my story. So they sat talking with me in a friendly way, but although I answered them in the same way, I soon wished they would go. My head hurt, and there was a strange sound in my ears. I talked more and faster, and the sound became clearer, and still they sat and talked. Suddenly I knew that the sound was not in my ears, it was not just inside my head. At that moment, I must have become quite white. I talked still faster and louder, and the sound too became louder. It was a quick, low, soft sound, like the sound of a clock heard through a wall, a sound I knew well. Louder it became, and louder. Why did the men not go? Louder, louder. I stood up and walked quickly around the room. I pushed the chair across the floor to make more noise, to cover that terrible sound. I talked even louder, and still the men sat and talked and smiled. Was it possible they could not hear? No, they heard. I was certain of it. They knew. Now it was they who were playing a game with me. I was suffering more than I could bear. I was suffering more than I could bear from their smiles and from that sound. Louder, louder, louder. Suddenly, I could bear it no longer. I pointed at the boards and cried, "Yes, I killed him. Pull up the boards and you shall see. I killed him. But why does his heart not stop beating? Why does it not stop?" And so that's how the story concludes. Our narrator has lost all sense of sanity, and you can feel that the story almost comes full circle by the end. You can tell that this entire story could more or less begin exactly where it ended, where what happens next is that the police take him into custody after he's admitted that he killed the man, and now he's retelling what is going on, and the protagonist character is still working through why is this old man's heart still beating. And the brilliancy of this piece is that it's never explained, and I wouldn't want it explained. It needs to be open to interpretation, and it needs to be open to the reader. So again, this is a special Halloween episode. Let me know if you enjoy this style of video. It's going to be more of a podcast type video of me talking and reading through stories like this. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below, let me know what story you want me to do next. And with that, keep it spooky.